it's week 0 in college football. I can't believe it. It's back already. We're all happy. We got Florida State. We got Georgia Tech in Ireland, and we're going to talk about it here on the 5-Star Flex. I brought my man Michael Langford from warchant.com. He's going to tell us about Florida State, how he sees the game going, and also the game from a recruiting perspective. My man Naj Wilt from allyellowjacketsi.com will be on to talk about the same things from a Georgia Tech perspective. Oh yeah, it's a loaded show. College football is back. I can't be more excited. Let's go. As part of the 5-Star Flex Week 0 kickoff show, I've already talked to Florida State. You know I had to bring on somebody from Georgia Tech. I've got one of the hottest writers, one of the upcoming guys in the city of Atlanta who covers the Yellow Jackets for All Yellow Jackets SI and also works really closely with Inside the Hashes, Mr. Naj Wilt. Naj, what's going on?
What's going on, Dukes, man? Appreciate you having me on the show, man.
Now, for sure. Let's jump right into it. Florida State, Georgia Tech, huge game, week 0. The entire world will be watching as this is an international game. How big do you think playing in this game will be for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets when it comes to recruiting some of these guys across the country?
Oh, it's huge, man. Everybody's going to be tuned into this game. They want to see what Georgia Tech can do. As you guys can see, the line is starting to move. Early on, it was 11.5. It is at 10.5 now, the line. So I think people are starting to say, hey, man, this is a game we got to tune into. Georgia Tech, it's not going to be an easy out when it comes to this one. So in terms of recruiting, a lot of people are tuned in. Josh Petty's one of them. He said, man, I can't wait to see what Georgia Tech can do up against Florida State. That's one of the games I'm watching. I'm excited to see the Yellow Jackets go out there and get the dub. So that's one of the recruits I talked to. And it just does a lot. When you land your first 5-star in the modern era, the first one since Calvin Johnson in 2004, and you're able to kind of create that momentum, and then you bring in this great offensive line class that has 4 3-stars according to the On3 industry rankings, that does a lot for you, going forward. And if Georgia Tech hangs in this game and they make some noise, they're going to bring even more guys. And they already got some guys on Flip Watch right now.
So speaking of Flip Watch, one of the guys that Georgia Tech did a really good job recruiting was interior offensive lineman and 4-star Peyton Joseph, who's committed to Florida State. What type of opportunity is this for Georgia Tech to make an impression on Peyton Joseph and maybe see if they can pull out the spatula on him?
What you can tell Peyton is, hey, come be a part of the change. Come be a part of our culture. Stay home and make sure you're part of a brand that's starting to build here in the state. Be a part of kind of the old Georgia Tech where we was playing for championships. We was playing for big-time games and things like that, instead of going to Florida State. Come be a part of something special. And in this class also with you, you're going to have 3 to 4 other guys that are noteworthy. Justin Hassenhuddle, Damola Ajudahan, and obviously Josh Petty coming in as well, and also Jimmy Bryson. So you got guys that can come in along with yourself, and you can build and grow. And another thing to note, too, that they could point out in their recruitment when they talk to Peyton Joseph, they have 2 seniors on this offensive line coming up on Saturday. So with those guys coming in, this is their final year. Georgia Tech's going to have to fill in some spots on that offensive line when it comes next year.
Who are some recruits that Georgia Tech possibly has on the ropes that this game may be able to sway, or they may be able to close the deal if they have a really strong performance?
I'm going to be honest with you, Dukes. I'm going to say Christian Garrett. That's one they're trending towards right now. And think about the win that Brent Key and staff has had, right? You nab him from in-state rival Georgia, right? Georgia is a program that Brent Key says, hey, man, this is a rivalry. I hate them. I do not like them. He said that on the record. So that goes to show you, and he's already getting those small in-state victories. This is a 4-star recruit Georgia was very high on. Got him decommit. He's very high on the program. And if you go and can beat Florida State, it's the same kind of thing. They got Zeke Biggers, right, coming in. He's a senior. Same kind of group. That defensive line group got 2 seniors that's starting to Saturday. Now you could tell Christian Garrett, hey, man, we're going to need your help on this defensive line as you kind of retool and kind of look at the roster a little bit. You can come in here and potentially earn some playing time early on in your playing career. So that is one to watch for. Also, Blake, make sure I get his name right. Blake Berlin is another one from Cardinal Hayes. That's the 3-star. That's another guy they're trying to get as well to come in. He's amongst their top 5. Georgia Tech is for him. So those are a couple guys they're trying to get in on the defensive line. As you can see, their class is really good, 22 recruits right now, but they really want to shore up that defensive line group, especially with so many seniors being on there. But if you come out and have a good performance against that dominant rushing attack with Wardell Williams, right, Cam Davis, and company, this is a really deep running back core. If you can kind of make some noise with that, And you tell the next recruits, come be a part of something special.
What has Brent Key done to turn around the fortunes of Georgia Tech recruiting in your eyes?
I think it's really simple. I think it's relationships, right? Relationships with these coaches, relationships with these players, relationships with these families. And what Key is doing is very smart. He's partnered with several different brands, one being the Corky Kale. He has a 7-on-7 there. The first year they had it, he handed out easily over 30 plus offers. I mean, when you can get the kids in state, and we know how talent rich the Georgia state is in producing talent. I mean, every single year they're having at least 2 or 3 guys that are 5 stars, right? So when you have guys that are on your campus, they're in your back door, and you're able to see them up close and personal, that goes a long way when you're recruiting these key skill positions like DB, which they've done an outstanding job with this class, with wide receiver, quarterback, and things like that. And I think Key's just making it simple for these guys that are in state. He's saying, hey, man, come be a part of a program that is on the rise. You see what we did last year. We were 7-6, our best record since 2018 under head coach Paul Johnson with the same identical record. And we are a part of the change. And I think that's where it starts first for him. Obviously, he's got some guys out of state with his class. Obviously, from Deer Creek, Grady Adamson, the quarterback. But what Key is hitting on, of this 22 that he has, Dukes, 16 are from in the state of Georgia. So he's doing an outstanding job recruiting these guys from in the Peach State.
So speaking of Josh Petty and speaking of high-profile targets, Georgia Tech in recent memory hasn't been seen as this NIL juggernaut. Well, now Pete Nakos of On3 comes out with this report, and it talks about Josh Petty agreeing to a collective deal with Georgia Tech where he, is rumored to be around $800,000 a year. What type of impact do you think that news has had on other recruits when considering Georgia Tech?
I mean, it's huge. Georgia Tech already has an NIL fund that is, set up for this, that has $1 million already allocated to it. The thing is, people don't talk about it a lot because obviously it's always Georgia Tech. Like, we don't know how good they're going to be. We don't know if they're in NIL, but they have this fund for these players, and they set up different opportunities for them throughout this NIL fund that they have set up. They're setting up partnerships so that everybody on the team can get paid, whether you're a star or you're not, right? I remember seeing a deal a couple years ago they had set up with this brand, and everybody on the team was getting paid. No, it wasn't lucrative money, but you were still putting some extra money in your pocket. That goes a long way. But then what recruits can see, okay, hey, wow, you landed 5-star Josh Petty, you got him to come to your program and you're paying him this. You might not make the same thing necessarily, but you might be like, oh, okay, if I go there, I could potentially make a little bit of money and help out my family. I could potentially, do a little bit better for myself on the side. And the whole thing with Georgia Tech and another allure I think they have is the connections. The academics, I think it's like 1 in 5 end up becoming a millionaire, So that is huge. When you have the NIL part of it, and then you have the connections aspect of it as well, and then you can go and meet different Fortune 500 CEOs, and the academic rigor is tough. It's just going to only help you not only on the field, but also in life off the field.
All right, let's pivot to the actual game. What true freshman do you think will make an impact for Georgia Tech in Ireland?
That's such a good question. See, the thing is, the depth chart got released, right? And there was not a lot of true freshmen that, was in that starter position. Georgia Tech got really a lot of that last year, right? When you look at Errol Singleton Jr., was an All-American last year. Obviously, Jamal Haynes stepping into a new role as the running back. But 2 names I want you to keep an eye on, Dukes. Okay. Luke Harpring. He's not starting, but he went to Marist here in Atlanta. Remember, they made the semifinals last year. He is 3rd on the depth chart. Recently, Brett Seether tore his ACL, or I don't know if he tore his ACL. He had an ACL injury. He's out for the year. Right? That means Avery Boyd is going to step up. Then you have Jackson Halsey, who comes over from Yale. Harping is the 3rd guy, on that spot. So he's a guy that could potentially, maybe not week 1, but as you go into like kind of the middle of the season, he could potentially have an impact, early on for the Georgia Tech offense, because they're going to need their tight ends, right? Got an elite receiving core, I think, humbly, with Christian Leary, Eric Singleton Jr., and Leo Blackburn and all them. But you're going to need a guy to step up. Another name to know, Dukes, is Anthony Carey. Right, this guy, he's number 3 on the depth chart, but you never know, right? Jamal Haynes is going to need a couple spills in there. I think Georgia Tech this year has that depth. When you look at from top to bottom, Jamal Haynes starting, obviously Trey Cooley at number 2, the veteran presence, he is a senior, right? And then you look at Anthony Carey beating out Chad Alexander for that 3rd spot. So it's all going to be in the design of Buster Faulkner, how he decides to use these guys, will he trust them early on offensively. I think that is going to be key as well for the Yellow Jackets. Another name he is not starting, but obviously Warren Burrell, the transfer, is going to start. But a name you could see getting a playing time early on for the Yellow Jackets this season is Cedric Franklin from Cale. He impressed a lot in the spring. His name got brought up a lot. Leo Blackburn brought him up. Obviously, his head coaches brought him up as well. That's a name that really impressed a lot of guys. So that's another name you might see. Hey, a slot guy. Hey, later on down the line, he could be starting due to injury or anything like that. Those are 3 names I would say, Dukes, to keep an eye on.
All right. We're going to bring it home here. Tell me how you think this game goes and end it with the score prediction.
Man, so I think it's imperative for Georgia Tech to get out to a hot start. Go ahead and get up on Florida State early. You really, what you want to make this game, you don't want to let Florida State throttle you, right? You don't want it to be the Wardell Williams show, right? You don't want them to be able to lead on that rushing attack and that dominant offensive line I think has over 200 plus appearances collectively. Like, you don't want that. So if you're Georgia Tech, you're Haynes King, hold on to the football, take care of the football, lead on that rushing attack with Jamal Haynes and those good receivers that you got on the outside. Get an early lead in this game, play smash mouth football, let your defense play ahead with a lead, and let them get after it and make DJ Ugarte beat you. Not saying he can't. Obviously, he played for ACC, played for Clemson. He went to Oregon State, did his thing. But that is kind of the formula if you want to kind of beat Florida State in this one, in my humble opinion. I think it's going to turn out. I think Georgia Tech, is going to have the upset. I think they go in there on the road or in Ireland. I got them a 7-point victory. They get a touchdown at the end, about 2 minutes or so left. I'm going to go 28-21. Yellow Jackets win the game. They make a statement in front of the national audience, national media on ESPN, and shows, hey, we here to play. We here coming for that ACC crown. So I got them coming out on top.
Naj Wilk, man, great job, man. Good to see you. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Yes, sir. So, man, y'all can find me on social media at Najee Wilk, NAJEHWILK. I'm on all platforms, man. X, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Y'all can follow me there. And before we wrap up and Duke wraps up the show, I want to give Phillip Dukes a special shout out. I don't think he hears this enough, so I want to be the one to say it, man. He is an inspiration to me and several others, how he's trailblazing, how he goes about his business, and just what he's being able to do. And he's on fire right now, and he inspires guys like me, obviously Bacon Network, Inside the Hash, and several other journalists in this industry that want to come up. So Dukes, keep doing your thing, man, and you doing awesome, and you really motivate and inspire us, man.
Much appreciated, my dog. Let's do it again at the next Big Georgia Tech game.
Let's do it.